Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Andy Timmons just came out with a new pedal with my friends at Keeley. Andy Timmons, one of the greatest guitar players on earth and one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's so cool, so I was really happy when this came across my desk and I got to make this little video for it. So it's the Halo Andy Timmons Dual Echo. Now for a long time Andy's been using stereo delays in a certain way, and I find it really interesting. I've watched other videos on how he kind of configures his delays and how he uses them, and so it's neat to see that he's got a pedal of his own to kind of get that sound. And this is a really versatile delay in a small pedal housing. I mean, you've got the ability to store a whole bunch of presets in there and toggle between any two, and then you can bank up and get to another two, etc., etc. And as far as the sounds go, I mean, it sounds awesome, I think. Like, really, really, really nice. Beautiful modulation. I mean, it sounds at times like an expensive rack unit, really. But, you know, you can also get it gridded up and get it dirty and do analog and tape style delays, as well as really pristine, beautiful stereo digital stuff. As with most modern Keeley stuff I've tried, it's pretty tweakable. There's a lot of different parameters you can get into there and kind of play with. So every knob, I think every knob just about has, every knob has a secondary function. So you've got a time control here, that's for delay, but of course you can tap in your delay times as well. There's a tap mode, and like I said, if you want to store a specific delay time in a preset, you can do that. So time, level, and then you've also got controls for the modulation, the rate and the depth here. And then as far, and don't forget, it's a delay, it's got feedback. And then you've got secondary functions. So to get to them, you actually hold down that feedback control, and then you're going to be able to tweak things like the high pass filter, the tone, you're going to be able to add or take away saturation, and what else we got here? Oh, rhythmic subdivision, of course. Full stereo in, full stereo out, and also expression capability. I didn't use an expression pedal, I didn't get into this either. This actually looks like it's maybe an effect loop or something. Tip, ring, I think that's what's going on there. So for this video, I'm using it with a couple different amp sounds. I've got the Ruby from UA here on my desk because I just hooked it up the other day. So I used that for the clean guitar part on the song at the beginning of the video. It's a Vox AC30 style amp sim pedal with built-in speaker simulation. So I went into the Ruby and then I came right out of it straight into this and split stereo into my recording interface. And then I also used it for the first little lead guitar part, the sort of low gain part on the track at the beginning as well. So that's the Ruby. Now for the solo guitars, I was using my PT15 back there, and I just came out of the direct output straight out of the head right into the pedal, and once again split into stereo. So for my video, all the sounds that you're hearing is with the delay coming post distortion or post overdrive. So you could get even more kind of pronounced delay effects if you were running this in front of an amplifier that was maybe, crunching up a little bit or clean. It'll tend to compress the delays more and make them pop out even more. So I'm going to play a little bit more through the pedal. I'm also going to solo some of those parts from the song at the beginning outside the mix so you can clearly hear what I was doing. I mainly wanted you to hear in this video the delay really loud. So I kind of went for really dramatic delay sounds in this video. It'll do straight up slap and, simple kind of tape slap and stuff like that if you want. But I was going for, lots of feedback, high mix levels, really aggressive and prominent delay sounds. Okay, let's get to it. It's the Halo Andy Timmons Dual Delay. Here we go. I just cut the first part in the song at the beginning of the video, and this is using preset 1 in bank number 1, the left preset, and I believe this is Andy's kind of main halo sort of preset, the sound that he developed many years ago that he really likes. I've seen him do this with other delays, and one thing that's notable about it is that it's 2 separate delay times, but it's not like a quarter note and an eighth note. I remember seeing an interview with him where he was talking about it, and he didn't like how delay times that had sort of, the similar subdivisions, like an eighth and a quarter, they will sort of pile up on one another and emphasize a certain rhythm, the quarter and the eighth. I mean, the eighth note's going to go twice as fast, but it's still going to hit on the quarter, and makes it just a certain sound that he didn't dig as much as using, like, I think it's a quarter note and a triplet, something like that. But anyways, you're going to hear it, what it sounds like. Check this out. When you have a delay with a subdivision like that going on, what ends up happening is when it kind of starts blending and when you let chords sustain, it has an almost reverb-like quality. As the delay tails out, right? And it sounds a little bit less like building up on the same rhythm, so it's really cool. Now, in that song at the beginning of the video, I attempted to both arpeggiate as well as let notes ring, so that you can really hear that quality, how it sort of sounds like reverb if you're letting things ring, and how if you arpeggiate, you get the rhythmic subdivisions. So and you can hear that the sound has a really beautiful modulation too on the tail. So you've got your rate and depth controls there, kind of like think of it as chorusing, and you can modulate the delay and get this really beautiful spacious sound. So with this pedal, what I'm getting at here is you're almost getting the sound of like delay, reverb, and chorus all together in one pedal that just makes for a really, really beautiful guitar sound. You can get into much more sort of, I would say maybe traditional or typical delay effects, like, straight up quarter notes and a little bit more analog and tape flavor. Like, for instance, if I go right over here to this other preset in this bank, check out what this sounds like. Okay, so what we have there could be considered, just kind of almost like a single delay time, but there is a stereo image to it. So that means, let's say that that's 400 milliseconds. I'm not sure that it is, but let's say that it is. A delay like this will have one side be 400 and the other side be like 396 or something. That gives you a stereo image because the delays aren't exactly the same, but they're close. And then the delay splits out wide and in stereo. And there's also a bit more of an analog color to this. I would say the tone on this preset is dialed back a little bit. Saturation might be dialed up a bit. If you want to change things like the saturation, that's a secondary function. So you just hold down the feedback knob here, and then you can turn this control, the level control or mix control, and it doubles as a saturation control. So here's no saturation. Straight up clean delay. Now I'll dial in some saturation. Starts to sound like dirty tape. Turn it up 3/4 of the way up. Now it's like really mangled tape. So that's pretty cool. So I'll dial that back down to just like maybe like 9 o'clock, something like that. And let's check out some other secondary functions here, like the tone control. So let's take it up all the way as bright as you can get with this pedal. Okay, that takes the high end out to somewhere around 6K, I think. And then by holding the feedback, secondary function control here, pulling this down, I can now take that all the way back to 1K, I think. Much more like an analog delay. That actually sounds really great like that. I like it. It's a bit more like a carbon copy or something right there with the mod and everything. Speaking of the mod, let's dial it up a little bit and see what that sounds like. So I got my separate rate and depth controls here. So I'm going to turn up the rate. That's getting pretty seasick, so I got to dial back the depth a little bit. You can hear that nice wiggle in the end there. It's pretty cool. I like that. I always like kind of like a Memory Man, the kind of the fast rate and slow depth sound. A little bit more depth. Pretty cool. Let's take the feedback way up and see if we can get it to oscillate at all. I'm not sure if it will or not yet. kind of a controlled oscillation. It doesn't go totally all the way, you know, crazy, but that's neat. So one thing that's cool as well, if I bring the feedback down a little bit, so I just get a few repeats. Okay, now if I hold down the preset switch that's the opposite one from what's active, you can ramp up the feedback to 100% and get like a tail of feedback. So right, so that's pretty cool. If you want to tail it out, and it's like equivalent to turning it up to 100%, I think you can do that. Thanks for watching my video on the Halo. Super awesome sounding delay pedal, dual delays. It's an Andy Timmons signature pedal. Andy doesn't do anything that sounds bad. That guy is unbelievable and all his gear sounds great. I can't think of another delay on the market. There might be one, but I can't think of one right now that kind of does this much and allows you to store as many presets and everything in a pedal housing this small. So this might kind of be in a class of its own as far as delays that allow you to store this many presets, get this many sounds, and all that good stuff. You can check it out further at that link down there in the video description below. Click there, it'll take you to more info about the Keeley Halo. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the little bell beside the subscribe so you'll get an alert when I put out new videos. I'm Pete Thorn, you guys. Take care. Over now.